Hi all, very good afternoon and welcome to the webinar. Today's webinar topic is create, run and export automation scripts in 30 minutes. I'm Nilesh and I head the pre-sales at pCloudy. The webinar is scheduled for 1 hour and typically I'll be covering the topic in 45 to 50 minutes today, and last 15 to 10 to 15 minutes will be available for Q&A. So please use this questions tab which we have on the GoToWebinar window there to raise your questions in case you have any. And yeah, I mean, since this is not an interactive session, so I'll suggest all of you to just write the questions in that tab, and I'll be answering those questions towards the end of this webinar. All right, so let's move on to the agenda for today's webinar quickly. Okay, so first, we will see what are the key asks for a mobile test automation, because the entire mobility is all about automation nowadays. So we'll just see what are the key asks when somebody is looking for the mobile test automation. We'll quickly see the introduction of pCloudy. I'm sure most of you are attending this webinar first time, and pCloudy as such is new. So we'll just see quickly what pCloud is all about. We'll see the use cases for pCloudy, where exactly the pCloudy will fit in into the existing framework of yours, and 30 minutes automation workshop, right? This 30 minutes automation workshop will typically have three topics which we will be covering today. Creating the first automated scripts for mobile application, parallel automation test execution, and exporting the scripts to local APM setup, right? Of course, this will be followed by Q&A. So let's see what are the key ask for mobile test automation from the industry. So the first and foremost uh, ask is demand for codeless automation tools. So the name itself indicates that there is a big demand for codeless automation tool. The mobile application testing is just not enough today. Yeah, you have to make sure that the time to market is pretty small. We have to increase the time to market, I mean, making it by fast. And the enterprises today are looking for the codeless automation tools, so that it should not be restricted only to be used by the test automation engineers or the developers. The whole motto here is anyone who understands the workflow of your application should be able to create the test automation scripts in order to increase the delivery of your application by multifolds. It will save a whole lot of time, it will create the automation scripts very quickly, and it will also give you the bigger coverages for your automation for your application. Right, so this is the first and foremost ask mostly we see in the industry for the mobile automation. The second one is, of course, the parallel execution on multiple devices. So if you see the devices today, typically Android devices, if you see, the fragmentation of the devices is so big, the landscape is so vast, that you have to practically it is not possible for you to test your application on each and every device, right? So you have to take the optimized set of devices and try to make sure that you run uh, typically in an automation way on most of the possible devices, right? So if you keep executing your application automation tests on single devices, it will take enormous time. So parallel execution is today's need. You have to make sure that you run your test automation cases parallelly on multiple devices. Of course, emulators versus real devices. Even today, the market is confused. People are still asking, shall we go ahead with the emulators or real devices, right? So uh, while developing the application, one can still use emulators to see how your basic functionalities are working, whether it is rendering properly or not. But when it comes to the real testing, it is always advisable to use the real devices, because the application which will be used by the users will be on the real devices. And there are a lot of factors which come into picture when you are actually testing your application on the real devices, which can be simulated or which can be um, uh, observed only on the real devices, right? So real devices. And the last one is support for agile and DevOps environment. So in case, today we have seen that most of the companies are working on the agile methodology, right? So it should, the platform or the tool which you are using should also fit in your existing agile or DevOps environment, right? And if you really look at it, according to the Gartner, the test automation is required for agile and DevOps success. With cloud DevOps and agile methodology in place, an organization must follow a series of good practices, right? So mobile app testing being no exception. These good practices range from use of right built tools, use of automation, to the use of right cloud infrastructure, right? So we are going to see those things here today. So let's move on and see what are the what is pCloud is all about. So we'll not spend a lot of time here just to understand what exactly pCloud is all about. So pCloud is basically a remote mobile device cloud. It's a test platform which will help you to test your mobile application testings remotely by acquiring a device remotely, right? So let's see what are all things we have here. What are all things you can do it on this platform. So basically, you can test your native application, your hybrid applications, mobile web, and PWA applications. What else you get it from the platform is you can get the device analytics if you need it. You can do the manual testing using this platform. You can do test automation, and when I say test automation, of course it will also support you the parallel test execution, right? So you can run your single test cycle or the same test suite on multiple devices parallelly. And lastly, we also support here in field UX testing. So in case you want to test your application with the real users in the real market, you can also use this platform to do so. How do you access this platform? You can, all the test engineers or the users can access this platform using a simple web portal. You can use any standard web browser and you can actually access this platform and do the testing on your mobile applications on real devices. And the second accessibility is through plugins. So even the developers or testers who want to access the device by connecting to their Android Studio or Xcode, they can connect to this platform using the plugins which we have. We have three offerings at pCloudy. The first one is public cloud, which basically have 500 plus real devices. We have 500 plus real devices spread across 4 different locations, and we also have real operator SIEMs in those devices. So you have a liberty to test your application on either Wi-Fi or real operators from different geographies like India, US, Philippines, and Australia. The second offering which we have is all about private cloud. So it's an extension of the public cloud. This basically means we will give a dedicated set of devices to a dedicated users from a specific organization, and they can use those devices 24 by 7, and it will be restricted only to that particular customer. The last offering which we have is on-premise cloud, which is basically we will come with our cloud infrastructure within your premises, and we will set it up the entire cloud infrastructure behind your firewall, and you can connect the devices, real mobile devices which you have. You can connect it to this cloud infrastructure and create your own lab, a remote lab which can be accessed by several other team members spread across different geographies. So these are the three different offerings which we have. Now, let's see the pCloudy use cases where all pCloudy can fit in if you want to see a typical product life cycle. So I have depicted a very simple product life cycle. It may vary from organization to organization, but I have depicted a simple and a minimal here because we can concentrate on these three different phases here, right? So we have development and test, pre-sale, pre-release, and market release, right? So let's uh, let's see the first track, which is a developer track here, right? Now, developers will create the code and will make the changes in the code and create a new build. That's what typically we see in the development and the test phase. And once that is done, uh, we are actually running the automation unit test runs there, right? So once this is typically done, once they push for a new build, we will have the automation in place where the automation unit test, automated unit test cases will start running automatically. Now, this is a phase where pCloudy can actually help you, can actually fit in the existing criteria. The second part, which is typically not available as of now with most of the companies, but what if suppose we provide you the AI-based automation health check for your application, right? Without you doing anything, you just need to submit the application. So that if that is what is needed, again, pCloudy can be used because pCloudy provides the AI-based automation, automated health check to be done on your applications. Okay, what if suppose the test cases are passed for the unit test or even for the AI, then it will be pushed to the QA to do the further testing. So typically what QA teams does, they'll just take the new features and they'll test it on the devices, the physical real devices which they possess in their hand. And there could be some automation test already written for the regression purpose. So they will be running the regression test suits there. So when if you see from the QA team's perspective, again, pCloudy comes into both the places where they can do the testing on remote devices manually, and of course, you can run the automation regression test on pCloudy. After this, once the gate is passed, we recommend that it should be the build should be tested on the in the market with the help of crowd testing or so. So even pCloudy comes in there if it fits in there at this particular stage. And post that, once it is passed, we are ready to release the application in the market. So this is the typical flow which we can see it here, and we have just seen where all uh, pCloudy can fit in there, right? So moving to the next slide, just to see what exactly we will be seeing it today. So in the same use case, if you really see, now we will concentrate from the testing or the QA team's perspective, right? So for the QA team, as we said, that the new features which testers will be testing on the devices, right? That is what we have seen some time back, and there was a regression automation test cases, right? Now one more thing which comes here, which is of prime importance, is to create the automation test cases for the newly developed features, right? This is what uh, will be the new introduction here. So when we are getting a new feature to be tested, we have to do it manually. At the same time, we have to also create the test automation scripts there. So if you see the creation of the automation scripts and executing the regression test cases there, now this is the part which we will be actually seeing it here. If the entire cycle here, if you see, is what we are going to see. So we will see how to or how easy to create the automation scripts using pCloudy, how easy to execute automation scripts on multiple devices, and how quickly or how easy to export the recorded scripts to a local APM setup. So all these things we are going to see it today. So as the webinar itself is suggesting, it's a 30 minutes challenge. So we are going to see it in next 30 minutes. And these are the challenges which we are actually going to see it here, right? So the first one is, of course, we will be creating the automated test cases for mobile applications. The second one is we will be running it on multiple devices, and it will be all on real devices. And the third one is of course, executing the test scripts in CI setup using Jenkins, or you can use it using the normal APM which we have. And also we will be seeing with the same thing is how to export this to a local system, right? So let's start this. Let's get into the automation studio and see how we can actually do it, right? So what I'll do is I'll quickly move on to the browser so we can see and quickly go to the, just give me a second. Yes, so okay, so let's see this. This is the typical pCloudy. I'm just logging into pCloudy. Yeah. So I'm just getting into the automation tab now. I'm sure some of you would have already used pCloudy. If not, you can register with pCloudy for free, and then you can get some testing hours. You can use this platform and explore this on how to use the devices for manual testing and automation part. Anyways, we are seeing it now. So we are already on the OpKey tab here, and this is internally we were calling OpKey, but for the external world, it is an automation studio. So you just need to click on this, and we will open the OpKey, the automation studio, which will help you to record your workflow. Now, when we were the first key ask, which we have seen for the mobility mobile app automation testing, was the codeless scripting, right? The tool which can help you to create the test automation scripts without writing a single line of code. So this is the automation studio which will help you to do so. Okay, so this is how typically the UI will look like. Now what you can do is you can actually first go to the tools, go to mobile management, and upload the file. Okay, any application which is under test you can actually upload. So you can just say click on plus and then go and select the appropriate the application for which you want to actually do the test automation. So I'm just skipping this part because I have already uploaded this delta application here. You can see it here, delta application is already there. So basically once you click on this, it will take some time to upload the application here. It will do the instrumentation in the background, and then it will keep that particular file over here. So we have already done this, so I'm just skipping this part, but this is a place where you can actually upload the files which needs to be uh, automated, right? Then on the left hand side, this simple UI will help you to create or create your own folder structure in a proper way. So I have already created a project here which we will see towards the end, but let me show you how to actually do it. So you can just right click on the project workspace, go to let's say I'm creating a new folder, maybe webinar. Okay, and inside this now I can keep on adding. I'm just going and clicking on create new. So we have multiple things which you can create within this folder. You can create a test case, you can create a function library, uh, Gherkin features, model, coded flow, object repository, global data repository, test suits, right? So what we will do is we will just take the minimal which is required typically to record a small test workflow. So let's say I want to first create an object repository, because all these thing will happen on the object based thing, right? We have a keyword driven test automation engine which will work on the object. So we will have to first create a object repository. So I've just selected object repository. This is a place where we will record and keep all the objects for your application. Okay, I'm just going to here creating global data repository in case you have a use case like let's say a username password on the very first authenticated screen. So you will be writing a script only once or recording the script only once to enter the username and password and then login. Now the same test case you want to definitely run it multiple times with the different parameters, right? Different variables. So in that case, you can actually use this global variables, global repository, where you can actually you can create username. Let's say you have to write username here, you have to write password here, the labels which your application takes, and then here you can keep on giving multiple username and passwords. Then this particular test script will start executing x number of times, the number of times you are entering the parameters over here. So same code is reusable there. Now I'm going to the repo, the folder structure, and creating a test case, right? So this is the primary and the important thing which we needed. So let's say I want to write something like flight search. Okay, so this is the test case, the very first test case which I am creating here. Okay, this is called flight search. So this is a Delta application. Basically it's a application for the airline company called Delta. So we'll just see what is, suppose I want to search a flight from source A to destination B. We will just check it out here. So I have just created a test case. You can create multiple test cases based on your workflow. Now once I click on the test case, this is the view which you are going to see it. Right now there are a couple of things. The first one is record, right? And this is for the running now, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just clicking on the record. When I click on the record, it will give me the different recorders. This platform has multiple recorders inbuilt, right? You can use it for the web, you can use it for desktop, Oracle, Salesforce, and Workday, and similarly for mobile. So today we are targeting for mobile, so let's click on mobile. So I clicked on the mobile recorder, and when I click on the mobile recorder, this is the interface you are going to see it. I have to go and select the object repository, and then I have to select whether I want to do it on pCloudy or local system. But today we are seeing it on the pCloudy, so I have just selected pCloudy default object repository, unless you have created your own, and say next. So this is the endpoint for device.pcloudy.com. You have seen that I have already logged in here, right? So you can get all this information. If you go to your username and click on settings in your profile, you can get your username, your mobile API access key from here. That thing I have actually entered over here, and say login. So this will help me to log in to my account. Okay, once I log in there, you will get a list of devices. These are the devices which we have on pCloudy. These are all real physical devices, and you can actually filter it out based on the different OS versions, right? So like 8.1.0, 8.0, 7.1, like this, right? So let's say I'll take 1 plus 3 for example, right? So, or 1 plus 5, let's say 1 plus 5 here, and I selected this device, and say I have to go and select the application. So here I can go and select the application. I'm selecting Delta application. I've selected the device, and I say start recording. When I say start recording, this platform will open that particular device, which is 1 plus 5, the one which we have just chosen, right? This is the device. This platform will give it to me. It will connect it there, and then we should be able to uh, play with the application. So this is how you are going to see it. Now this is the area where you will see the device. Yeah, so the device is displayed to you. The application which we have selected is already installed on this, because you have already selected here, right? And this is a place where you can see the recording happening, right? When we were saying codeless test script, it means basically whatever workflow you are doing on a specific device is getting recorded in the form of keywords, and those keywords will start appearing here, right? So you are seeing it now here, this particular screen, and the application. Now on this application we have a tick mark on the top right corner, so I'm just clicking on that. When I click on that, the first action is performed, and you see this particular action got recorded here. Click 0, right? Now I'm coming to this screen, and let's say in the interest of time, what we will do is we'll record a very small test scenario. So let's say I'm clicking on continue as a guest, right? I'm just clicking on continue as a guest, and it has gone to the next screen. You can see here I have clicked on continue as a guest string there. That's an object internally it has found. And let's say I'm entering from, and I enter, let's say New York, and this is the first input I have taken it from there. Then I've clicked on 2, and I clicked on Boston. Okay, I've just entered Boston, and let's say Boston has come, so I've selected Boston, and I'm clicking on the dates, going to, let's say, 31st, and this is by default return journey, so I have to select, let's say, 8. So I have selected 31st and 8, and then I say apply, and then I'm clicking on find flights. So this is a small workflow which we have done now. Okay, now yes, the page has opened, and then towards the end, let's say I'm just exiting from this test case, I'm stopping my test case. So let's say I'm just clicking on the options over here and clicking on login button. Okay, so let's assume that this is a small workflow which I wanted to record. I have rather I wanted to automate, and to automate that I have simply recorded using Automation Studio. Once this is done, I can actually click on stop and save. The moment you click on stop and save, the device will go back to the cloud, and you will start seeing the recorded script over here. Okay, you can always change the names of the object repository or the global variables based on your need. Now, I have just changed it only for the test case, but you can see for this flight search test case, these are the keywords which got recorded when I was actually using or recording the workflow. So as I said, these are all plain English keywords. Like you can see, click on this, type text on the edit box, right? And something similar to this. So you can see, click on the image, click on the search, click on button. So these are the simple keywords. Now, if you see here, we have a couple of tabs. If I click on add keywords, you will see different keywords are listed over here. So we have a keyword for APM, we have for OpKey desktop, you have for Securely, you have for Selenium, Selenium WebDriver. So all the keywords are there. So if you want to insert any specific keyword for your test script in the existing script, you can also do that. Let's say if I'm just clicking to APM, and I just want to bring in Flick, for example. Okay, there. So I'm just selecting this is the location, and I'm just going and saying Flick. I'm just clicking on this positive button here, and this particular Flick is added over here. You can see it now, it has changed to Flick. So this way you can see I can add the new keywords here. I can change this. I can just make it up and down. I can just move this step to first, or I can bring it down. Yeah, I can also delete this. I can add steps from here. I can move up and down. I can delete it from here. So this way you can actually modify the pre-recorded scripts based on your need. All right, so we will not see the other part here. Maybe we can actually cover the other part where I'm actually changing the variables and creating the same scripts for multiple runs. The one which I have explained, the global variables for your username password in the separate webinars, which will typically concentrate only on the detailed workflow of this automation studio. Uh, so today's thing is little different, restricted to 30 minutes challenge. So I'm just making it in this fashion. Okay. So once this is done, so we have seen the first part of today's webinar, that is creating the automation script, right? Now the second part is executing it on multiple devices, parallel execution. Now, when you create a test script on Automation Studio, a recorded workflow, but which we have seen, you cannot execute it as is. To execute any test case on a physical device, a real device, you have to first create a test suite and add this particular test script or test case to that test suite, and then you have to execute the test suite, right? So let's see how to create a test suite. You just click on your own project, right click it and say create suite, and let's say I'm saying maybe uh, webinar test suite. Okay, in this test suite, if you see here, this is the test suite. Now here I can add lot of test cases. If I have written 100 test cases here, you can see here I'm going to the webinar folder. You can see all your projects will start appearing it here. Now webinar, if you would have written 10 different test cases, all 10 test cases would have been available here. Now you can go and just drag this to this particular test suite, right? So once you start dragging it, those test cases will start appearing it as a part of this test suite, and then you can run the test suites from here, right? So let's say how to run it. So this is a icon here, which is basically a small cloud with P, which is basically a pCloud. So you can run it on pCloudy. When I click on run it on pCloudy, it will give me the execution wizard, which will help me to choose the devices on which I want to execute, right? So let's say I want to execute it on OnePlus 6, okay, and let's say I want to do it on 6.1. This is Nokia 6, okay, Nokia 6.1. So I have selected two devices. I have recorded this on OnePlus 5, and now I'm executing it on OnePlus 6 and Nokia 6.1, right? So I say next. This is the list of devices, and I say complete. So this wizard will actually connect to these two devices, the one which we have seen it here, OnePlus 6 and Nokia 6.1, and it will start execution of the test cases which you have just selected from your test suite. This is the typical console where you can see all the logs for your test execution. Since you have taken two devices, you have got two logged windows here. This is for Android, this is for OnePlus 6, and the second one is for Nokia 6.1. So you will start seeing the logs over here. Now at pCloudy, I'm not very sure whether you have seen it or not, but at pCloudy we have gone a step ahead. So even if the devices are remotely connected to our data centers, even if you cannot access the device physically, you can actually access the device remotely. You can still see what exactly is happening on the device, right? You can see right here it is already started. So now if you want to see what exactly is happening on the device, you can actually come to the device.pcloudy.com, click on the reports folder. Okay, in the reports folder, in my active session, you will start seeing uh, the test cycle which is just executed from there. Okay, so that is for the APM. But if you're running it from the automation studio, you have to come to devices and click on my bookings, and both the devices will start appearing it here. So if I just click on this OnePlus 6, you can see that particular device will start appearing it here, and the execution is already started. Let me just open one more tab quickly and go to the other device. Let me make it here so you can see both the devices. This is already started. I'm clicking on Nokia 6, and here you can see on Nokia 6 also the parallel execution. Okay, on okay, it is, I was a bit late to connect to this device, but you have seen on both the devices the execution has almost finished at the same time. I hope you were able to see this. I mean, we have clicked on the options and clicked on the login, right? So those executions are done on this. Let me run it one more time because I think we were not able to see it here. So I'm just releasing the device. I'm just releasing this device too. Coming back here. So here you can actually see the logs. And once the execution gets completely over, once its logger stops, now I have made one more mistake. I have actually released the devices manually from there. So it gracefully exit for this particular device has not done here, but I think the execution was anyways over, so it will still get the report here. So this is the tab where you can get the results. If I click on show results, you will see the results for the entire test suite. Okay, so this is the test suite, this is the test case which you have seen, and this is the iteration one, first iteration, where you can see these many steps which we have executed here, right? So each test case, whether it is pass or fail, how long it took, okay, all those things will be available. We do have an option to capture the screenshots for each step. when you try to execute it. Let's see that this time. Okay, I'll re-execute it once so you can just quickly see the devices, right? So this way you can also go and see the entire test report. Now, the last part which we have to see in today's demonstration is the export part. Exporting the uh, recorded script on your local APM setup, so you can execute it through your local APM setup. That we will see in a moment. I'll go back to the project workspace, and I'll try to run this one more time. Let's click on this, and let's see this time if we get these two devices. So as I was saying, that we have advanced settings also, where you can actually select when you want the screenshots to be taken. So I'm just clicking on show advanced settings and say next. So here you can see take snapshots, snapshot quality, time step out. So let's say medium, but I want to take on all steps, for example, and say next. When you take all steps, it will be a little slow. It will be a little, heavy, because all the screenshots will also start appearing it in the report. So I'm just saying next, 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 and at this level you can get the device location. So I think these two devices are still there, so I'm just going and selecting again the same two devices and say next and complete. Now again it will go and book the devices for me, and it will start executing on those two devices. So we'll go to the device.pcloudy.com. It takes a little while because it has to connect to pCloudy, get the devices, and then start. In the meantime, let me just see if I am seeing those in my bookings yet. It is not booked yet. Okay, so devices are booked now. Now you should be able to see the device here. This is OnePlus 6. So I'm just connecting to OnePlus 6. Let me open the other device from here so we can see both the devices here. Okay, so other device is not yet booked. Yeah, it is now 6.1. So I have selected both the devices. You can see now the parallel execution, the entire workflow, whatever we have done, the same workflow, you will start observing it here. So we will be first clicking on the right click there. It has gone inside. Now we will be clicking on continue as a guest. It has gone to the so OnePlus 6 being good configuration and high specification device. I think it is happening pretty fast on that device. That can also be observed when you are actually executing the test cases parallelly. Okay, so we have entered New York, then we have entered Boston here. We have entered a string called BOS, and we selected the first option called from the drop-down list, Boston. Yeah, then we have clicked on the dates. Selected from, I believe, 31st to 8. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, when I clicked on find flights, you can see the flights here. And after this, we clicked on the options on the top right and clicked on login, and my test case got over there. So this is the complete workflow which you have seen now. The same way we have recorded, started executing on the real devices. All right. So coming back to the view here. So once it gets over, this will generate a report, and we have seen the report in some time back here. So this way you can actually execute your test automation scripts on multiple devices parallelly. We are working on a view where you don't have to open multiple windows to see these devices. In a single browser window you should be able to see multiple devices. That's the next feature which we are bringing in for this execution. We already have this feature for the APM execution directly if you are executing it from Eclipse, but for this we are bringing it now. All right, so once this part is done, now the third part, the last part of this webinar, which we wanted to showcase you, is the exporting the code to your local system to integrate with your local APM setup, right? So you can actually create a test suite, which we have seen just now here. You can create and add whatever test cases you want to add to this particular test suite, and then on the top here we have shown certain icons. These are the features. So the last icon is about Java export. If I click on this Java export, we will actually download a zip file, which we'll see seems to be like this, where you can just click on this. You can go to the source com ssts export, and then you can see the global repository which we have created, mobile repository, global variables, functional libraries, test suites, test cases, okay, and utilities. So basically the test case which we have done, this is there in the Java. You can actually use this in your local Java setup. Now you would have seen it here. We also have, this is a default um, uh, folder structure. You can see we have already got function library. Okay, we have got mobile repository, we have got global variable, though we have not used global variables. We have created a global variable table, but we have not used those, and we have not created even functional library, but still functional library is created. So this is typically when you have uh, different workflows, but in most of the workflows there are some common functionalities, right? So to bring the modularity to your test automation scripts, you can use functional libraries. You can create a function only for login, you can create a function only for searching a flight, you can create a function for some other specific operation, and then create those functions, keep it into functional library. And when you are creating a test case, you need to call those function libraries from that particular test case. So your maximum 80%, 60 to 80% test case is already ready by simply calling the function libraries which you have created, and remaining part you can actually add it as a part of your checkpoints or specific logic to that workflow. So this way we provide you the entire test case, the test suite downloaded to your local system, right? So this is what I have, one predefined here. We have actually separate thing called flight booking, Delta project. Let me see if I have got some variables here. You can see it here. I was actually entering the in the username password field. I had got two things here: username as Gary, password is this, last name was Cooper, the second variable or second parameter was John Philip, right? So when I was executing this test case, I have actually created a test case only once, but when I was executing it, it got executed twice because I have got two parameters. If I write 10 different parameters, the same test case will get executed 10 times, right? So this way you can save a whole lot of time. Then of course there are a couple of test cases. So in my test suite here, we have got three test cases. From here I have selected all. So this is a simple project view I wanted to showcase to you from here. All right, so this is what I have to showcase you here in 30 minutes challenge. Now moving back to the uh, slide. Yes. Okay, so let's see the summary. What are all things we have seen just some time back. So we have seen how to open the automation studio from device.pcloudy.com. We have seen how to create your first mobile automation test scripts on real devices. Now this is the difference here. We are actually we have seen everything on the real device, and we have also seen how to edit the recorded test cases. I have shown you by adding the new keywords there. or moving the keywords up and down. We have seen how to execute the automation test cases on real devices on pCloud, and that too we have done it in parallel with the simultaneous execution. Uh, Okay, the Jenkins part I have not shown here because Jenkins was not supposed to be a part of this, but I have still written here because Jenkins was something can also be used to trigger your test cases and execute it on device.pcloudy.com. So I do have that plugin here, but I think we don't have enough time today to show the Jenkins part here, so we have not seen that. But yeah, of course, we have seen how to export the recorded test scripts on local APM things, right? So I think, yeah, we are almost on the end of the webinar here. So last 15 minutes, as we discussed in the beginning, we will use it for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please uh, ask the questions and I will start answering the questions. Okay, so I'm just getting some questions from the audience. Let me just read it out and start giving me the answers. Okay. So the first question is from Fairs, and he's asking on what basis we can select the set of devices to run our test cases on. Um, First, I think you have seen that we have shown you the wizard, the pCloudy device selection wizard. We have shown you all the devices which we have on our cloud. We have 500 plus real devices on our public cloud. So you can go and select any device of your choice. Maybe let's say you are targeting a specific country or a specific market, and you know that you have to target the Android devices with 6.1 OS version or 7.0 and above. So you can go and filter out your devices based on that, and you can select those devices there. I hope I have answered your question. The second question is from Harsh. He's asking, developer will run automated or AI test runs or QA will do. Okay, so developers can also run the test cases for the unit test, right? Mostly this is what typically we have seen, that developers will trigger the unit test automation cases once they are having their build ready, and after that QA comes into picture. So QA can actually use the AI test runs if required, or even developers can do that. See, the AI test runs which we have not seen it today here because it is not meant for that. This webinar was not meant for that, but the test execution through AI can be triggered by anyone. The QA teams can do that, the developers teams can do that. If QA team is doing, what benefits you are getting out of that is basically you are helping the developer teams to know if the applications are having certain crashes, if the workflows are broken or the screens are not coming properly. All that information you will get it along with lot of performance metrics, along with the ratings for your application in terms of CPU, memory, battery, and network data. So yeah, both the teams can use this AI feature to test their applications automatically. There is one more question from Fair saying, does the speed of performance does the speed of performing an action on a device that is hosted on a cloud match the physical devices? Yes, it is indeed a physical device. So the speed at which you are doing locally on your local device is matching with the devices which we have at pCloudy. Now you may see a little lag when you are seeing it from your system. It is because we are transferring the frames, we are transferring the screens of that particular device on the browser to you, right? So when we are doing a screencasting, there could be several network latencies coming into existence or so. So because of that, you will see some small delay there. But actually, when you are clicking something on the pCloudy device, at the same moment in real time that input is given to the device, and device will uh, perform that action immediately. Okay, there is a question from Praveen Kumar. Any particular configuration to be done for iOS devices? So Praveen, this particular uh, thing. Of course, we have seen only for the Android. You can create the test automation script for iOS devices. There is no specific configuration as such to be done. The only uh, additional work which you have to do for the iOS is your application, the IPA application for which you want to automate your test cases has to be either re-signed with pCloudy services, or you can take the device IDs of our devices and add to your developer profile and then rebuild the IPA, because that's the iOS security policy comes into picture, which says you cannot install the application on any of the iOS devices in the market unless you add the UDID of that particular device and create the build. Or yeah, I mean that's the only thing. The second workaround we are providing is by resigning that. So any application under development has to follow this process. Apart from that, there is no separate configuration to be done for iOS devices. One more question from Fair saying, can we export the results? So results cannot be exported as of now, Fairs. This is basically the HTML reports which we have. But yes, we do have this particular feature in our roadmap, and very soon we will have the uh, feature through which you should be able to export the results also. The next question is from Raksha. Mobile recorder is there for iOS also. Okay, so I think Raksha is asking if we have the mobile recorder for iOS platform also. So Raksha, iOS being a very close operating system, it's very difficult to work with the iOS. So right now we do not have the recording feature as such for iOS, but you can still use the Automation Studio, the same thing what we have seen just now for the Android, in the same fashion for iOS. Only difference right now is you cannot record a specific workflow and it will not generate the test code automatically, but you will start when you connect to the iOS device, you can see the object elements, the page elements there itself. You can create the object repository of yours, and then the keywords which we have, you can actually add it manually and bring those objects in that particular keyword. So this is a little bit of manual efforts right now we have for iOS, and we are also working towards that to make it in the recorded way, the way we have seen it for Android. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of questions here. Let me see which question I should be taking it now. I think okay. Let's take a question from Lalit. The question is, what will happen if selected device is occupied by others? Okay, so Lalit, when you are, I believe you are asking me the question, what will happen when you want to execute the test on a specific device and you have selected that device and that device is not available. So this thing will hardly come. This situation will hardly come because the list of devices which you are seeing, these are the devices which, when it is available, only you are going to see those devices. So uh, that particular time the device is available, but it may so happen in the corner case that before you trigger or before the automation studio book the device on behalf of you, somebody else is manually booking that device at the same instant. So in that case it will actually ignore that device and it will start executing on the other devices. But if you are doing it only on one single device and if that device is not available, you will get an error message there that device is not available. But out of four, let's say you are executing it on four devices and one device is being used by some other client at the same time, then you will get an error for that particular device saying the device is not available, but it will still execute on rest of the other devices. Hope I have answered your question. Mm, okay, one question by Raksha again saying, so if we upload the IPA file to my app data, it's uploaded after resigning from pCloudy services? No. It is not by default resigned. If you upload any IPA file to my app data, you can see there for that particular file on the extreme right hand side, you are seeing one button which is basically showing the Mac symbol, iOS symbol. If you click on that, it will resign. So you have to take that action to resign it, because system will not understand whether you have already resigned or you have got you have added the UDIDs and you are using that particular IPA, or it's an enterprise IPA. System will not understand. So you have to take that action manually. Okay, one more question from Lalit. In our application, we need to deal with images. Such devices don't have any image in gallery. What is suggestion to handle that? Okay, so I think Lalit, if you see, if you are talking from the automation perspective, uh, then yes, for any automation, there is always something called, or for that matter, any test, be it manual or automation, we have something called precondition, test, post condition, right, and the expected result. So as a part of precondition, you will have to make sure that you have that particular device, you have the images for in that particular device. If not, you have to keep it, right? So what you can do is you can actually go and copy the data from somewhere. You can, or else you can download the data from somewhere, or else you can capture the images, certain things, unless you're looking for a specific images. If you're looking for a specific images, what you can do is, we have some feature called push the data to the device. You can actually select any device manually. You can push certain images to a device that those images will reside on a specific folder called swipe swap drive, swap box, sorry, yeah, it will reside on a swap box, and then you can move the data from swap box to gallery by the help of files browser which we have in each device, and that way it will be available in your gallery folder, the images which you are looking for. Otherwise, you can write a small script as a part of your test script for a precondition, which will copy the data from in the same fashion, whatever I have shown, whatever I have told you just now, that thing can be automated and keep the data there, whatever images you are requiring. So that can be handled. That can be handled. Okay, so in the interest of time now, we have just left with last 3 minutes. So let me see if I can handle a few more questions. There are a couple of more questions here. Uh, Hopefully this is the last question because we don't have much more time. But let's see if there is some more time. We can actually take other questions. Otherwise, I will personally reply to the answers for those questions to the individuals. Okay, one more question now. Let me just see. Okay, there is a couple of questions from Harshvardhan. So I think he has got a lot of questions. So let me take one question from him. He has a question. Can we have error reports if anything breaks during execution, like in manual testing? And he has got one more question. What would be there in the reports, like graph or just logs? Okay, so Harshvardhan, to answer your second question, you will have logs, you will have graphs, and you will also have screenshots. So if you're capturing screenshots, as I have shown in the second run, right, we have captured screenshots for each step. So you will get these screenshots uh, for failure. If you're capturing the screenshots, if there are certain asserts where you are capturing the screenshots, so you will get a screenshots, you will get logs, you will get graphs. Okay, you will also get the time to execute that particular step. So all the information is pretty much available in the reports there. And I think you will get the error logs also in case something is happening wrong on the device. That will typically, you will get it for APM execution if you are doing it through APM. But for this thing, when you are executing it through Automation Studio, APM error logs, you may not get it, but our the Automation Studio's error logs, you will get it, because we are using a separate plugin there, not the APM as such. But yeah, you will definitely get the error reports in case something breaks there. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to, debug that. Yeah, so I think we are towards the end. There are a few more questions. I'm sorry, I'll not be able to answer those questions today, but I will certainly try to help and help you with the answers by sending you one-on-one mails there. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for attending this webinar. I'm sure this is pretty much helpful webinar to you, and you people will start using Automation Studio to expedite your automation test scripts. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.